Hi friends, this is Leah Lawson. Today I have a couple of cards to share with you for the Reverse Confetti Stock Your Stash monthly challenge. It's a Halloween and fall themed this month, and I'm using their new fall foliage stamps and dies, which were released earlier in September. And I'm creating this really pretty pastel fall card for you today. So I am using the Arches 9x12 watercolor pad. That's cold pressed and 140 pounds. It's thick and luxurious and beautiful, and I don't use it super often because it's not bright white, but it seemed perfect for my project today. So I'm just stamping. I'm going to be stamping all of the leaves from the stamp set, and I just arrange them on the front of that block so that they can actually all be die cut at once. And so I'm actually going to be stamping and heat embossing them, and as you know, watercolor paper has some texture, so I always ink the stamps up a couple of times to make sure that I'm getting a good impression and a good amount of ink to make sure that that embossing powder sticks to it, but does not stick to the actual watercolor paper itself. I am using rose gold embossing powder today for the leaves. I thought that it's this really beautiful iridescent color, and it just turns out perfect. As you can see in the background there, I also actually stamped and heat embossed a gold set, but I ended up not using them today, so I cut that part of the video out. So for today's leaves and background, I am actually watercoloring with some Tim Holtz Distress Ink in the following colors: Weathered Wood, Stormy Sky, Victorian Velvet, Seedless Preserves, and Dusty Concord. I've actually just put them on a piece of acetate or transparency. You could put them just right on your craft mat too, but mine is bright white, and I try to keep it as clean as possible, so I just use a little piece of transparency. I have a huge box of them, so not a big deal to me to use it for something like that. And today I don't actually often use water brushes, but today I'm using a combination of just a regular brush and a water brush. I use my regular brush to put clean water into each leaf, and then also use it to sop up areas where I feel like I maybe got too much water or too much of the Distress Ink color in there. And I'm just applying it in a gradient fashion to the leaves. And there's really no rhyme or reason. I'm just picking the colors and putting them in the area where I see, that they best fit where I want them to go. That's the fun part about using Distress Inks. There's so many shades of colors, and they work so well together, and they just make these really, really beautiful great, color gradients. Apologize. So I faded the video out and brought it back in. I felt like you didn't need to see me coloring in every single leaf because that would have been really long. I make mistakes when I watercolor, and as you noticed in both of these videos, I just take a paper towel and I just sop it up, and it normally comes up pretty easily. It might leave a little bit of a bit of color there, but I'm going to end up die cutting these leaves, and watercolor is not perfect by nature, so I don't worry too much about making really large mistakes. Once the leaves were done, I set them aside to dry, and I had all of this excess ink left, and I don't like to waste inks. So I went ahead and I took a couple more blocks of that same matching watercolor paper, and I just used the watercolor smooshing technique to do a couple of backgrounds. Initially, I wasn't going to use these, but I actually really loved how they turned out, and so I actually ended up using these as the backgrounds to my cards. I spritzed them down with some shimmer spray, but it still wasn't shimmery enough, so off camera I actually also squeezed my Tonic AQUA shimmer pen and added some glitter that way as well. So the next step, once the watercoloring was dry on the leaves, I just die cut them all at once using my Gemini Junior, and that's the luxury of making sure you just leave enough space. You can then just die cut everything all at one time and not have to run it through multiple times. So the next step was stamping and heat embossing the sentiments. I did them in the same embossing powder as the leaves, so the really beautiful rose gold. Something that's kind of cool about this rose gold embossing powder is it leaves a shimmer behind, which you could brush off with your fingers or a brush if you wanted to, but I leave it there because if you know anything about me, you know that I love shimmer and bling and glitter, and so anytime that I can just have added shimmer to a card, I keep it there. So I heat set the sentiments and I trimmed them out, and it was time to put the cards together. Because the watercolor paper is not bright white, I chose to use colored card bases instead. So I used just 2 shades of really pretty purples, which I thought matched those backgrounds really well. And as you can tell, they are really shimmery. I went pretty crazy with the Tonic Aqua Shimmer pen, but I love how that turned out. And I know that these colors are not super traditional for fall, but that's just something that I really love to do. They're probably more suitable for winter, but I think that they turned out lovely for fall, and I love non-traditional color palettes. So I want to challenge you, if it's not something that you've ever done, definitely try some non-traditional color palettes for the seasons. It's fun and it's a nice change. So as you can see, I'm just arranging where I want these leaves to go. I had my phone, I had kind of diagrammed them before off camera where I wanted them to go, so I took a picture on my phone and had it there for reference. I am using some mixed media adhesive to adhere down these leaves. It gives me some time, I can move them around, I can stick things underneath, as you can see how I'm doing there, before the glue sets permanently. And I actually am just using some vellum tape to adhere down the stamp sentiments as well. You could pop them up with foam adhesive if you want to, and just accent something over top where that foam would be, but I chose to just use the vellum adhesive and just lay them flat on the card and add more dimension via the leaves instead of adding dimension via the sentiment. So really you just have to, tuck those leaves here and there and where you want them to go. And then the final step for all cards that I make is adding my signature jewels tucked here and there. These are iridescent jewels in a few different shades. There's clear, purple, pink, and blue. And I just put them here and there where I thought they fit best, really. There's no rhyme or reason. You can accent with anything you want. I love self-adhesive jewels, but you could also do sequins or those flat-backed stones that a lot of companies are carrying now. So those are my cards for you today. I hope that you enjoyed them. Be sure to play along with the Reverse Confetti Stock Your Stash Challenge. You've got, I think, about 4 more days left to enter. So lots of fun to be had there. Other than that, thanks for watching my video today. If you'd like it, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up. And if you don't already, I would also love for you to subscribe to my channel. I'm new to this, but I'm enjoying it, and I hope that you're enjoying it as well. Other than that, have a wonderful day.